So today marks the 1 year anniversary of me buying my house, and I wanted to make this episode to not only share the process that I went through, but I also want to inspire and encourage other people who are looking to purchase a home, who are looking to build generational wealth, and who are looking to build a business that aligns with them and their values. And I'll just start from what feels like the beginning of the process of looking to buy a home in the first place. So I remember in 2020 how badly I wanted to purchase a house. I was just like, I really want to buy a house. I didn't like the neighborhood that we were in, and I don't like what comes with renting. Having a landlord, having to like answer to them, and being able to customize the house the way that you want. So I didn't like renting, but I knew it was necessary. But I was like, okay, I'm at a point now that I'm ready to purchase. Um, because I had been renting since 2015. And it was a great experience to learn, living on my own. But now I wanted to have my own home as well. And so in 2020, I wanted to buy a house, but I had no job and no savings, but I still had this desire, right? I wasn't like, oh, I don't have it. I will never get it. It will never come for me. I wanted to figure out how. And so I took, I did what, most of us do. I looked at what I had available, and I was like, well, if I can find, you know, another job paying what I was getting paid, or if I go back and do another service year with the job, what would I be able to afford? And it wasn't much. It was under 100,000, because I wasn't making much money, with my previous job doing AmeriCorps. It was basically paid volunteering. I loved the job, learned so much, definitely got way more value from what I learned than what I earned. And so because I earned so little, it was only 13,000 a year. I was only qualified for about maybe 60,000, but that didn't stop me. Okay. So I was like, well, shoot, are there houses for $60,000? I was real concerned. I was looking into all these different avenues and things like that. And so I just started where I knew to start, which was Zillow. I had the Zillow app forever. I used it to look for rentals, but I also used it just to look and see what was on sale, tracking the market, to keep it in my awareness. And I'd look at different houses to get myself excited about what was possible, right? And so I went on the app with this new number of the 60,000 looking for houses. And I actually found a few, which was surprising and exciting for me because I'm like, okay, oh, it is a thing. Okay, so I find a few, but not only do they have to be in this range, they have to be in safe neighborhoods because we're already living in a neighborhood that is not safe. We moved from our previous duplex because it started to get dangerous, and we wanted something different than moving to the new house. And it wasn't the best of situations, very low income, and the crime wasn't the worst, but I could feel it getting worse, right? And so I was like, okay, wherever we move, it has to be in a safe neighborhood. I'm not just buying a house for the sake of buying a house, because when I buy a house, it's harder to pick up and move than renting. It's a bigger commitment. And so what I did was when I found these houses within the price range that I was told that I could afford, I would drive to them. And I take my little ones along with me, sometimes. And I remember finding this one house that was just absolutely perfect because the first one I went to, it was in the price range and it had potential. But when I drove to the neighborhood, the house right across the street looked like hoarders. And I was like, yeah, I don't need that in my life. It was a toilet on the porch. I said, yeah, I don't know what's going on. And a lot of the other houses look run. I said, no, we're trying to get out of this situation. Definitely not buying a house. Like it was a nice house, 2-story house. Not much work needed done. Even had a pool in the back. But baby, no. Okay, it didn't meet my main criteria, which was a safe environment for me and my little ones. And so then I found another house, and it was the best house that I found in this price range. I love the look of it, and I love the floor plan. So I drove to see if it was in a safe neighborhood, and it was in a safe neighborhood, and that got me really excited, because I was like, okay, this is possible, but I still didn't have a job or consistent income, and so I went on to try to start building consistent income. So my job had ended in 2020 of July, and I knew it was going to end in July of 2020. And before it even ended, because I was under a contract, my contract ended in July. And before it even ended in 2019, I remember talking to my supervisor um quite often and telling her, I know that I'm going to work from home next year. I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but I know I'm going. And 2020 comes and the pandemic hits, and I'm working from home, but this ain't what I meant by working from home. I'm still on a contract at this point, but I'm recognizing the benefits of like working from home and also seeing like how my children were being schooled. And so I realized, because I was like, okay, I want to work from home, but I want to make enough money to send my kids to private school so they get the best education. Their education has always been a priority for me. So I'm like, okay, I want to work from home, but I want to make enough money for them to go to private school, and I could just, be in the house and focus on doing the work that I need to do. And then because we were in the pandemic, me seeing like what they were learning in school for the price, because like I said, I wasn't making a lot of money with AmeriCorps, but AmeriCorps was paying for childcare, which was a big reason it attracted to me. And so they were paying for childcare, and childcare was like 16,000 um for the year. And I was like, this is what they're learning at this rate. I'm not knocking it. It was good stuff, but I could teach that for free and with more hands-on approach. And my daughter was already having all these issues, and I was getting called to the school all the time, and my son hated, to be left behind. So then I shifted from sending them to private school to wanting to work from home and being able to homeschool them too, because I saw the value and the opportunity in being able to do so. And so I was like, well, the only way I'll be able to do that is to start my own business. So I try to start my own business. I keep hitting the wall, right? I'm like, what was I doing before? I was doing taxes, I was financial coaching. So how can I turn that into a business for myself? And then I realized I'm not there yet, right? I'm not ready. I don't have all the information that I need. I'm not comfortable doing this. This isn't something that I'm getting excited about doing every day at all. And so I kind of go into this funk, and I go into this depression that I'm not getting things done and I don't have a job or an income. And so I would find myself quite often quitting at 8 o'clock in the morning, from like parenting, from functioning, and I just go in my room and lock the door, and just sit in my sadness and have a little pity party. And this happened 2 or 3 days, out of the week. And then I realized I have to take control of my life. My life is not happening because, these unknown forces are coming and, taking over or whatever. I have control. What can I do? And so I look back and to see where I was having when I wasn't feeling this way. And I wasn't feeling this way when I was working out. I had stopped working out. Um, and so I was like, okay, well, let me just start working out and taking care of myself again. And let me start reading these parenting books again, because I was getting frustrated with my kids. We all were, right? We're in the house with them 24/7. This is new. And already my children would tear up my nerves. People would tell you I hide from my kids, okay? One of my favorite activities at one point was pretending that I had no kids. It's terrible. But I needed a break. I was like, oh my God. And so sometimes I would, like I said, lock myself in the room and just have a moment to myself. But I was like, I can't keep doing this. This is not beneficial for anybody. And so I started back working out, and I started reading my parenting books to learn more about how to be a better parent. So I didn't keep running into these issues every morning. I can't be sad and depressed about my career and then sad and depressed about my life, which is my kids, too. And so once I started reading,
um, and figuring out how to become more mindful, how to be more present in the moment and not crying and focusing on the future and what I don't have, I feel better. And so I was able to focus on what I did have and what was available to me that was easy and comfortable. And they got me excited. And I remember one day, a former coworker and friend of mine reached out to me and she was like, "Have you tried DoorDash?" And I was like, "I tried DoorDash a while back, but it was packed in my area. Like they weren't accepting any new applications." She said, "Well, try again." I said, "Okay, I'll try again." And so I try again and I get it and I get to do DoorDash. And I say I get to do, right? Life is always happening for us. And so I'm like, okay, I get to do DoorDash, and I'm excited because one, I get to make some money because I was sad. I had like $5 in my account, and I was like, dang, I can't even buy myself some food. Like I'm saying, I'm focusing and I'm depressed. I'm just, pity party, pity party, pity party. And so I get to do DoorDash, and it's not even just about making the money. It's about being able to leave my house, okay? Because I was stuck. Well, I felt stuck. And I was with my kids all day. So for me, it felt like a paid vacation. So I adjusted my mind. That was in January. I want to say a week or two after I started doing DoorDash, my former director actually messaged me and she was like, "Hey, are you looking for a job?" I'm not, but I am. Yes. Okay. I don't know. Tell me something. I got excited. Because when I looked into the actual job description, it was everything that I wanted. It was working from home. It was doing what I was doing previously, which was financial coaching. And the focus was on helping Black women figure out what financial freedom was for them and then helping them to get there. And it wasn't even just the one-on-one, it was also the policy aspect of changing policy to make things easier once again for Black women to accumulate wealth. And so I got really excited about this job. And then I got really excited when I seen the salary, which was starting at 58,000. Now mind you, like I said, I was making 13,000 previously. So I immediately was like, oh, this could definitely help me upgrade my life and my situations. And it was working from home. All right, right. I said I wanted to work from home and it checked all the boxes. And so I started working. Well, actually, excuse me. That's January, right? I go through the hiring process, which takes 3 months. So it's January, February, March. Well, January is when I found out about it. February, March. I would say April is when everything's finalized, and I choose to start in May. First week of May, I choose to start. But mind you, I'm still doing DoorDash, and now that I see other opportunities available to me and the chance to make more money, I'm already figuring out what I'm gonna do with that extra money. I'm looking into different types of retirement accounts. I'm looking into real estate, okay? And the reason that I did this is because I'm like, okay, this is before I even got hired. I'm like, I have to start pulling what my thinking at the time was, all right, if I really believe that this job is mine, I have to start acting like this job is mine. So I have to start planning for how I'm going to use this money and how I'm going to take care of it and be a good steward of it and make more money with the money that I'm making. Because I already knew that when I went to college and studied psychology that I wanted to study psychology and have my own business. At the time I wanted to become a child psychologist and have my own practice. And then I decided that I wanted to have my own nonprofit. But at all points of my life I've known that I've always wanted to work for myself. So I got excited about the job and the money and the opportunity which would lead me to more money and opportunities. And I started planning for it. And so in May, I start working the job, and I love the job. I love the flexibility. I can choose my schedule. I have autonomy. I have the ability to be creative. I feel heard. I feel seen, and it's exciting. But then it comes down to like me being frustrated, which is all the things that come with the job that doesn't come with owning your own business. And so like having to like answer to other people. Mind you, my supervisor and director were amazing. But like me, I am a control freak. I love to be in control. And I hate when things don't line up the way I want or things aren't scheduled the way I want or not coming in on time. And so I got so frustrated. And I remember calling my mom not too long after I got the job and just being like, God gave me everything that I thought I wanted just for me to realize this isn't what I wanted. And I was like so convicted. I was like, yes, I don't want this, but I'm gonna keep this, right? So I knew in my heart of heart that I didn't want it, but I knew that it would lead me to where I wanted to be next. It was able to get me out of the unsafe neighborhood where you're hearing bullets and gunshots and things like that in a short distance away. I've never seen it, but it was very close. And that is traumatizing, not only for me, but for the children as well. And so I'm like, okay, we got to get out of here. And I remember I had told my co-parent in December of 2019 because I was so frustrated with him and everything else. I was like, I'm moving out in July. And like I said, at that time I had no job, no money. But I said, I'm moving out in July. I don't know. I'm gone. And it's crazy because I got the job in May. I signed the lease for my new apartment in July, but we didn't move into October. And so I signed the new lease. I'm excited. And so now I am looking forward to moving to a safer space, having the job and still homeschooling the children. So I'm getting a lot of what I want, but I still want to buy a house. I haven't forgotten that. You know, I haven't lost sight of that. And so we move in October. And I remember telling my little ones, because they're getting older, right? They're starting to understand more. I said, we were renting at that old house and we're renting this apartment. I said, I promise you that the next time that we move, we will be owning whatever we move into because I could see the climate changing and I could see rent going up. And so I went from a place where I was paying $600 a month in rent, right, to a place where I was paying 1125 in rent. And I also could see like what they call the is it the lifestyle jump or the lifestyle gap. But basically, like you make more income and you adjust your lifestyle to match that income now. And so I was like, okay, I am spending more. I don't want to keep doing this. I want to lower my expenses. And I know that I don't want to be in this apartment and the rent keeps going up and it's already high. And so I remember signing a lease for 13 months and one of the people that I was working with at that time was like, why would you sign a lease so long? And I was like, look, I want to lock in this price for as long as possible. Okay. I don't know how long it's going to take me to get to the point where I'll be ready to purchase a home. But I know for a fact that these rent prices are going up on a monthly basis. I'm talking to clients often and they're like, my rent went up 200. I done had people say it went up 500. It's quick. And so I'm like, I'm gonna lock this price in. They can't go up on the rent as long as I'm locked in. I'm not doing no month to month. Thinking, oh, I might miss my chance to move. I'm locking myself in for 13 months. And when it's time to go, or if I have to resign again, I'll be ready. But 13 months gives me plenty of a runway to get where I want to get, right? And so we get to the new apartment and we're loving it. And it is amazing to be able to walk and be safe, to be able to enjoy some luxuries in life. Like, it was really nice, and the babies were very happy to be there. But I still knew that this was not our forever home, and that it was temporary, and to enjoy what was there in the moment, but recognize that more was coming once again. And so that was in 2021, October 2021, we moved in. And I would say around the spring, February, no, March of 2022, I was ready to purchase a house. I was like, you know what? Something God was telling me, you know what, it's time. And I was like, is it? Is it time? We just got here. Um, but I was like, let me just find out if I can purchase a house because I know that in doing financial coaching, you need to have an income and work history of at least 2 years. Now I had worked 2 years previously, but I had took a small break from July of 2020 until May of 2021, right? From July when my contract ended to May when I started the new job. That was a huge gap. I didn't have any income that a loan officer or anyone would pay any attention to. It was a huge gap. And so, but I was like, well, shoot, can I buy a house with that gap? I don't know. So I called. So I started doing research. Um, Even before then. I believe in actually in 2020 I started doing research. So when I looked and saw what I would qualify for, I started looking into the process of buying a home. And I remember doing the framework course, which was free during the pandemic, when a lot of things were free during the height of the pandemic. And I was like, oh, this is free. Okay. And so I went through that whole course and I enjoyed it and I learned so much and I took so many notes and then I wanted more. And so then I found this guy on YouTube called Win the Home You Love. And he was just starting out in 2020. He's doing amazing now. Like his growth has been a beautiful thing to watch and experience. But he was just starting out. He was a loan officer. And so I started watching his videos because he was explaining what was going on, how it was going on, how to buy a house. And he was so detailed. And so I watched his videos quite often. I would always like type in his name and go to a video and watch it and take notes. So I was always bringing home buying into my consciousness, and being aware and keeping that in mind, not losing sight of what I wanted ultimately. And so I am in the spring of 2022 now, and I've done the research, and I'm like, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this. Okay, let me call and see. Let me call somebody. And so he explains, the guy from the channel, Win the Home You Love, explains how looking into a loan broker, I believe. So they have access to multiple loans, so they'll help you find the best one for you. And so he told me the website. I believe it's like loanbroker.com or something. I don't remember. I'll get that included in the show notes. But I go on there and I start scrolling because it's a directory of loan officers and you can look in your area. And I saw one with a black woman. Automatically I clicked. Okay. We look at people that we identify with most. And so I saw a black woman. I got excited and I called. Well, actually, I went on the website first. I didn't just call. I wanted to see what were the requirements and things. And so they had very good information about like checking your credit report, seeing where you're at, and then going from there. And so I went on my FICO, which was the website that they recommended, to see my credit score. And I checked it out and I called her and I was like, I just want to see if I can buy a house. This is my credit score. And at the time it was 620. I believe it was 620. Yeah, she was like 620. She was like, oh, that's actually a premier credit. I'm like, really? Because I thought 720, 710. Like, that's what I've been telling people. That's what I've been learning. Is a premier. She's like, no, that's really good. We can definitely get you in the house with that. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so through the whole process, I have the mindset I'm just going to figure out, what I can do, what is possible. I'm not holding, tight standards and all of this. Not to say that standards aren't great, but I was very open minded and flexible in whatever was to come my way. And so we start going through the process and it was a lot of emailing, phone calls back and forth. My mom helped me to find my real estate agent, Tamara, who was quite amazing. And but before that, I was trying to figure out, am I living in the upstate or I'm living in the Midlands? I didn't know. I didn't even know what was available to me. And so I reached out to the loan officer and I was like, hey, my job is remote. If I wanted to look in the Midlands, would that be okay? And she said, yeah, as long as you have proof that your job is remote. Um, and that, you'll be able to take it with you even if you move. And I was like, okay, cool. That's easy. I can do that. And so then I start looking in the Midlands and I start doing some research. And so I start looking at the houses in the price range that I got approved for. And so I believe that I was approved for, how much was it? Was it 120,000? So it's basically like double. No, 150,000. Yeah, it was way more than what I had qualified for the first time, which was exciting. So I had a little bit more wiggle room, but also because I knew that I could find a house at 60,000 in 2020 that in a safe neighborhood, I knew that I didn't have to use that full amount for the most part. I was like, okay, if I can find it then, maybe I can find it now, even though prices are going up and everything like that. And so I looked and started researching and found a lot of houses. And since I was 2 hours away, what I had to do was a lot of one, know what I was looking for, so I didn't waste my time, and being able to put those parameters in. So when I wanted at least 1 acre of land and I wanted at least 2 bedrooms. I remember telling Tim because she was like, "Do you care about the number of bedrooms? And do you care about the?" I said, "Look, we have survived on a 2 bedroom, 1 bathroom house with no problem." I said, "I am just looking for something so I can own a home and not have to worry about rent going up, have my children in a safe space, and just having that ownership, whatever comes with ownership of a home." And she's like, "Okay, cool." And so we start looking, and I have to do virtual um tours, a lot of virtual tours. Also have to do a lot of um virtual driving. So I had to look at the street. Um and that was one thing because so I had to do what I was doing in person in the upstate online. And so when I was in the upstate, I was able to drive to houses, look at the neighborhoods and things like that. I couldn't do that. So I had to go to Google and do the street view and do the virtual street walking and looking to see what was across the street. So I remember seeing a lot of houses and I could see trash in the neighbor's yard from that Google photo. I'm like, if it was there then, it's probably there now. Also looking at the neighborhood and the quality, knowing, and then also looking what's in the surrounding area. That was a big thing for me too. I wanted to be close to Aldi and Walmart. So those were the requirements. Like I got to be within 15, 20 minutes of those. I also had to look at the how far away family houses were because I wanted to make sure that I was a close distance, but not too close that people popping up, but not too far that I don't feel like visiting anybody like I didn't visit as often when I lived 2 hours away. So those were my requirements. And I would say that the whole process from March, I started the process in March and I signed the contract in May, um, of May 2024. Excuse me, May 24th of 2022. So it didn't take long at all, but it was a whirlwind and full of experience. I was just asking a lot of questions and trying to learn as much as I could. That's what I told my mom. She's like, "What are you doing with buying this house?" I'm just learning. I'm just trying to figure out what's possible, what's available to me. I've done this before. I just want to see what's out there. Can I do this? Can we move forward? Um, and I was looking at so many different options. I was open to so many things. I was open to buying land. I was open to buying a trailer. I was open to um alternative forms of housing. I really want a dome. I'm still going to get me a dome home. Um, but I was looking into so many different options, and then when I was able to come down a couple times, I remember the first time we came to come see the house because that's the fun part, right? House shopping, right? That's the fun part. As I remember, we came down to see a house. It was sitting on like 2 acres or something, in the country. It checked all the boxes. It was close to Aldi, Walmart, all that good stuff. But like, I remember us pulling into the yard and we're waiting on Tamara, a real estate agent, to show up. And she calls me. She's like, "The house is under contract." I'm like, "What? We just got here. What you mean it's under contract?" That's how fast houses were going. We didn't even get to like um look at the house and put our name in the hat. I was like, it was gone. But I was like, I still want to look at this house. I still want to walk the yard. I still want to see what is possible. I want to keep this in my mind. So I love the yard. I love the little house that it had in the back. I love the setup of the house. But that house was not mine. But that was okay. God was just showing me that He had something for me and to keep the faith, and to keep pushing. And so there was a house, like I said, I was still looking in the upstate and in the Midlands. And there was a house that I loved and it was sitting on 1 acre. And I loved like where it was at, because I never really wanted neighbors. My best friend think I'm crazy because I don't want neighbors. She's like, "What if something happens?" I don't know. First of all, ain't nothing happened to me. And then second of all, I just don't be like, "Oh, let me go talk to the neighbors I ain't never talked to before." So I never really wanted neighbors. So this house looked perfect. And so I'm trying to get this house and I'll reach out to this is before I had like locked in with my real estate agent, Tamara at the time. And I remember reaching out to a lady who was trying to offer to be a real estate agent. And I asked her about the house and she was like, "Oh, that house, it just went under contract." And I said, it just went under, okay, that ain't meant to be. And it's crazy because like that same day that I found out that that house went under contract, um, another house that I was interested in had come available, and I was able to send my mom to go check it out. And she had called me while she was there. She was like, "This house is beautiful. It has plum trees in the back. It has a lot of land. It has good bones. It's a very quiet area." And so she was really selling the house to me, and I trusted her in making this decision because I wasn't able to see the house because things are going so quickly, right? And so that's when Tamara was able to get the house under lock for me, and I was like, "Oh, is it?" Because I remember there was an issue, there was a hiccup. I don't remember what it was exactly. That made me feel like, "Oh shoot, I'm not gonna be able to get this." And then that night she called it like 9 because she's a freaking miracle worker, and she's like, "We got the house under contract." We got what? What the heck does that mean? And so we have the house under contract, and I am like nervous and excited and scared all at the same time because I'm like, oh, we buying a house. I thought we was just checking stuff. Um, and so from that point, like going through all the things and getting the house set up, and there was a lot, but I learned so much from the process. And it wasn't while I was in the process that I was learning. It wasn't until afterwards, even like the start of this year, that I started to learn so much about like what manifesting is, how I manifested my house, not even recognizing that's exactly what I was doing. Um, and how perfect this house is. Like we're sitting on over 2 acres. I have a magnolia tree in the front yard. I have always loved magnolia trees, and I have always wanted a magnolia tree. It's a 3 bedroom, 2 bath. We have 2 bathrooms with windows in it. I've always wanted bathrooms with windows ever since the first house that my parents purchased had windows in the bathroom, and I loved it, being able to air out the bathroom because a lot of the newer houses don't have bathrooms. Ones that I've been in, excuse me, they don't have bathrooms. They don't have windows in the bathrooms, and that was a big thing for me. Like I really wanted that. If I buy a house, it need to have windows in the bathroom. If I'm renting one, cool, I don't need it. None of the houses that I rented have bathrooms. It's windows in the bathroom. And so that was like a really big selling point for me, the small things, right? And so this house is perfect. Um, for me, it has had a lot of issues. Like we had to replace the windows, we had to replace the roof. It's a fixer upper. But when I wrote in my journal, as part of my goals list at the start of 2022, was a house, buy a house, a fixer upper, and that's what I have. This house is really transforming for me and for our family. And the craziest part is that like at the time that I was looking to buy a house, my parents were needing another place to stay. And I remember getting the house under contract and being excited and calling my mom. And she was like, "What? We can't all fit in that tiny house." And I'm like, excuse you. I was buying this house for me and my family, my people, my little ones. Um, I wasn't thinking about anybody else. But it's crazy how like there's 7 of us here now. 7 is my favorite number. It's something wild. Anyway, there's 7 of us in this house right now, and it's pretty comfortable. Like the house is bigger than I thought it would be. I remember thinking that the house was so small, but I was willing to adjust to it. And I remember I had a queen size blow up mattress, and coming because I signed the contract in May. We didn't move into July, and so I remember bringing a blow up mattress down here and putting it in a room to see like how would my bed fit in here. Like would my bed at least fit in this room? And it's crazy like how big the house feels now. Like I have a bed in there, I have a desk, I have a dresser, and it doesn't feel cramped. It feels cozy, but everything fits perfectly. And like the house is way bigger than it looked once we moved in and got comfortable. And I remember thinking like with my parents, like, okay, this is a temporary situation. I can handle it temporarily and we'll be okay. But what was supposed to be temporary has become more long term. It's still temporary, but not temporary in my terms at what time should be, right? I'm thinking, okay, 6 months you gotta go. I need my space back. But I had to adjust my mindset and realize, like I said, once again, life is happening for you. So my family being here has been awesome because I signed a mortgage contract in May, and then I walked away from my job in July, and that July 1st. And that was the same day that my first mortgage payment was due. And it wasn't like I had planned to walk away or anything like that. That's just the way everything had worked out and the way God had aligned it for me. Because I was content and ready to like keep working at the job, homeschooling the kids, and figuring out a way to start my own business. That was my goal. But it was a lot. That was taxing. That's like 3 jobs in one. Okay. And I wasn't performing at my highest level for my children or my business. And God saw that. And like I said, I was like, jobs ain't for me. Anyway. And so I was able to take a severance check, walk away, and start my life as an entrepreneur and figuring out how to work for myself. Now, because the house came so easy and everything had aligned, I thought, oh, I know everything. I can figure this out now. And then kind of like neglected God and started doing stuff on my own. So I tried to start so many different businesses, mainly tried to get into like the cannabis industry because that was something that I had discovered that I really liked, and it really made me feel better, lifted like these negative feelings that I kind of had all the time, and it just kind of like was I used it recreationally, just kind of like helped me feel better in the evening. You know how people have like a glass of wine? I started having like a Delta 8 gummy. And because I had such good experience with it, I wanted to sell it. And I was like, this is a great way to make money, do something that I love, and create financial freedom. But once again, that was not what God had told me to do. So it didn't work out as quite as well as I wanted to, but I got really excited about it. And I tried to force it, and God was like, no, sit down somewhere. And so then I kind of got into like another funk of, nothing's working for me. But I said, no, we're not doing that again. We're going to figure out how to overcome these issues. So I started reading more, and I started discovering more about myself. I remember reading Limitless Mind by Joe Bowler. I listened to the audiobook version of The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. And I just started consuming a lot of content that focused on not building a business, but building me. And I remember coming up with the name Mindful Legacy Building. I bought a couple domains in my life, but I remember this name just popped up. Like God gave me this name, Mindful Legacy Building, because that in a whole encompasses everything about what I'm doing. I'm not just trying to build generational wealth. I'm not just trying to create financial freedom for myself and my children. I am doing it in a way that is mindful. I know that wealth goes well beyond money. And I've always felt that. And I learned that so much more as a financial coach over the past 4 years. I coached for over 500 clients. And I realized that a lot of people didn't have a money issue, they had a mindset issue. And it was frustrating um, to me. And so I went on to like learn about financial psychology and applying everything that I learned in psychology and wanting to help and encourage others to say, hey, get out of that grind and that hustle and that rut. Stop thinking, oh, I just need to make more money and I'll be happy. That was the main thing. Like if I make more money, I'll make more money, I'll be good. And it's like, no, you won't. Because you still have the mentality of make more money, spend more money. Not make more money, make more money. Not make more money, create more time freedom. You don't have that idea. You have that idea of I'm gonna make more money and buy more things, and eventually I'll get to the place where I can just sit back and relax and enjoy the money. But for now, I'm gonna hustle and I'm gonna grind, and I'm gonna buy a few things that make me feel like I've made it, right? Myron Golden. I was watching his video yesterday, and he said, "So what?" He said, "Poor people, they work to pay their bills and buy stuff, you know." And I said, that sounds about right. That sounds about right. A lot of people that I talk to, when describing their financial freedom, they just want to go on a little vacation here, a little vacation there, which is nothing wrong with that at all. A lot of times they wanted to buy um some more luxurious items, or they were already purchasing these items and services and were not able to keep up with them, which was frustrating for them as well. And so I decided to create Mindful Legacy Building. One, to document my progress, my success, my failures, my learnings with other people. And also like to encourage people to think a little deeper about the work that they're doing, the work that they feel that they've been called to do, and the impact that they want to have on the world. When I took my financial therapy, financial psychology, financial behavior classes, one thing that they that stuck with me was they were saying how generational wealth is actually lost after the third generation. Like the money, they were saying like a lot of it doesn't last into the third generation. The money's gone. And that's very interesting to me because we're all like, I want to build generational wealth. And something that to me is even more, I believe is even more important than just having the money is the mindset. Like, can you raise your children to have the mindset that if they lost everything, that this isn't the end of the world. They lost all these material things and people, that they can, one, bounce back and come back from it, and then two, build it. People say, I don't want my kids to get out of the mud. I've heard that quite often. And it's like, understandable, but kids also need to learn that they have the ability to build something out of nothing. That's what manifesting is, taking what is in the invisible and bringing it into the visible world. So you're taking something that is in your head, in your mind, in your thoughts, in your heart, in your desires, and you're bringing it forth and creating something real. And I wanted to encourage people, one, to not only do that for themselves, but to teach their children to do that too. Because when you're able to teach this mindset, you don't have to have a lot of money. You can hand down these ideas and these ways of thinking to your children, which leads to more money. And it helps the children to feel more fulfilled and helps you as an individual to feel fulfilled. And so for the past few years, I've been learning, about how to become a better parent, but not so much to learn how to become a better me. And so this past few months, I've been learning how to become a better me, how to communicate better, how to discover who I truly am in my authentic self. And in terms of doing that, I'm able to eventually help my children to do the same and to maintain who they are. Um, and mindful legacy building is my way of sharing that information and sharing those experiences with others who either are entrepreneurs or want to become entrepreneurs. Even in this season of my life where I'm just sitting and resting and learning, I'm feeling so much more productive than when I was out here trying to start a business and focus on the only the profit and saying, okay, once I get this profit, I can take this profit and do what I really want. Why can't I do what I really want now? I can. And to think that I can or couldn't was coming from a scarcity mindset. And so now I'm learning to focus more on abundance, trusting God, and co creating with Him. He's already put the desires in my heart. And there's nothing wrong with wanting the things that I want. I want to be the best motivational speaker in the world. I want to encourage people. I want to light people on fire and show them, hey, you got everything you need. It's just been dulled down. It's just been covered up. It's just been hidden by society, other people's thoughts and negative views. And you're like, I don't got it. I ain't good enough. I can't figure this out. You can. And so I wanted to start this podcast to help people discover the fire within them, to light it so that it grows bigger and so that they can go out and continue to blaze trails and lift people up and do what they have been called to do, to serve in a way that makes them happy, to serve in a way that keeps them in a flow state, in a state that is continuously giving and receiving, not giving to receive, but as you give, you receive. You receive people's feedback and confirmation that, hey, you're doing great. You're also receiving pay for the value that you've provided. And it's hard to provide value when you're seeking value. You're seeking to just gain money from other people. You're like, okay, if I can just give this little bare minimum, somebody pay me that. Versus, okay, if I increase my value, if I increase what I have to offer, people are going to be willing to stick with me and spend money with me. And that is great. But what's also great is that they'll be able to take my message that I share, use it to improve their space, their lives, their situation, and then touch others as well. So we are all connected. Everything is connected. And I want to help others see that and get excited about that and then use that to their own gain and to their own benefit. And so I will be recording a podcast every Wednesday to share more knowledge and information about what I'm learning, what I'm doing to build my legacy mindfully. And if you have any questions about this episode or anything that I mentioned in this episode, you can email me at hello@mindfullegacy.com, or you can join my mastermind group where I meet every Sunday at 7 with entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs. And we just encourage each other and we share stories and we talk about our successes and our failures, big and small, and what we're learning. And we're learning together and we're growing together. One of my favorite African proverbs is, if you want to go, what is it? If you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. And I want to go as far as possible because I know I will reach and teach as many lives as possible. And ultimately, our goal is to elevate the human experience. The good news that we're supposed to be spreading is how God has worked in our lives. And helped us. We're supposed to share our testimony. What testimony do you have that you can share? What results have you received or gotten that you can share that can make someone else's life even just a little bit easier? Because God has created us for comfort and ease. And I know a lot of times it doesn't seem that way, but my journey towards buying my house was quite easy, right? Because I leaned into God and I trusted Him. My journey into start my business, it wasn't easy. It wasn't comfortable. It was very uncomfortable. I did so many different businesses and things like that, trying to lean into my own understanding instead of God's, and saying, "Oh no, I could never make money doing that." Right? I never thought I had a talent or anything, and to find out that communication is one of the highest forms of being paid. I can communicate, I can talk, and I can teach others. So recognizing what do you have in you that you can teach others and build them up, and the value and the money and all of that stuff will come along the way. But you are a testimony. You have a testimony to share that can really bless someone else. And I want you to keep that in mind while you're thinking about, what can I do to create and build the life that I actually want? It may not be drop shipping. It may not be um, the wholesaling houses. These are just things that I've been interested in trying to do. It may not be selling life insurance. It might be also, but it's when we really discover who we are that we discover what we want, and not what society wants for us, not for what our family wants for us. We just go for what we want. Dan Sullivan says that when we go for what we want, there's no need for justification. I don't have to tell you why I want a little fixer upper house in the country with no neighbor. I don't got to tell you why. I just know that I want it and I got it. And I know now that I want to get paid for being my high value self, communicating with others and inspiring others and helping them to feel better. There's too much sadness and heartbreak and depression in the world, and there shouldn't be. Of course, we're not going to always be rainbows and butterflies and puppies and kittens, but a lot of times we have more stress and heartache than is necessary because we're focusing on those things. And we learn to take the focus off of what we don't have and what we need, and we start to focus on what we do have, which is God, right? And what we want, which is the desires of our heart. Then we start to see a change in the way we show up, right? Instead of complaining about everything that sucks, okay, I look at, what the heck do I have that I want that makes me feel oh so good? Oh, let me hold on and relish in those moments. In those moments when I get things, I don't want this. I don't like it. I find a way to reframe my mind. I'm still learning how to do this, how to reframe my mind. Because at the end of the day, your mind matters way more than money. And so with this show, I want to encourage and show you how to feed your mind, how to rewire your mind, and how to use your mind to create the life you want and build the legacy that you were created to build. Until next time, bye bye.